Hey YouTube, Dark God back again with day 2 of my October horror movie challenge. Today's not going to be as bad as yesterday. Only 3 films today, or that I watched yesterday, but I'm filming the video today. Getting right into it. First film I watched yesterday was Dracula, the original, starring Bela Lugosi. Absolute classic. I mean, there's nothing really that can be said. It really helped set off the Universal horror films. Obviously, Dracula, Frankenstein, Wolfman, Visible Monster, and then or Visible Man rather, and then eventually to the Ivan Costello ones later on. Dracula is what set the mold, even though I think Frankenstein kind of surpassed it. Dracula is what helped establish everything and set the foothold for the Universal monsters. And like I said, I do think Frankenstein's a better film, but Dracula's it's one of the most iconic characters, one of the most iconic bad guys in film, one of the most memorable entrances to a bad guy of him coming down the steps and everything. And even though the '92 Bram Stoker's Dracula is good, and Gary Oldman's awesome, Bela Lugosi is, in my opinion, Dracula. I mean, every time you think of Dracula, you think of Bela Lugosi. You think of the accent, you think of the slick back hair, the whole outfit, the whole cape and everything. That to me is Bela Lugosi is Dracula. That being said, I really don't think it's as good as Frankenstein. Like a step below probably, but it's still an 8 out of 10 movie easily because it's a classic. It's just everything there is established. Everything anybody knows about vampire movies basically. Like that. I mean, it's not the first. Obviously, I believe Nosferatu and there's one other film I can't think off the top of my head right before it, but just the fact they took this character that was established in the book and they brought it to life and everything, and just Bela Lugosi was the perfect casting. I mean, as good as Boris Karloff is as Frankenstein, Bela Lugosi is just as amazing as Dracula. And the fact that Lon Chaney Sr. was supposed to play it would have been a different character, I think, if Lon Chaney played it, as opposed to seeing Bela in the role that he's famous for. Second movie I watched was actually the sequel to Dracula, which is Dracula's Daughter. Now, a lot of people say that this is the best sequel in Universal Monsters, and I mean, I don't think that's a fair assessment because you got to think that Bride of Frankenstein is probably considered by many to be the best Universal Monsters movie, and it's a sequel to Frankenstein, so how could this be better than that? That being said, it is a good movie, it is a good sequel, and it goes in a totally different route, and actually seems like one of the very first lesbian romances in a movie that, for a film in the 1930s was kind of shocking. I mean, it's not blatant, but it's definitely undertones to it, and you definitely pick up on it, but it's weird. It's interesting seeing a female lead as a vampire. I think that might have been the first one where we had a female vampire lead, obviously, and it helped establish that those characters were later on in Queen of the Damned, obviously, and just any vampire movie more recent, it helped set it up where she had a similar there were similar moments to Bella, but she gave her own twist on the vampire, and she brought a more feminine role into it, and I don't know how to explain it. It was a very worthy sequel. I do think it is it's up there for best Universal sequels, but it's not anywhere close to Bride of Frankenstein. It's definitely a rewatchable film. It's not as good as Dracula, but it's probably a notch below it. It's a little faster paced. They cut away a lot of the side story or anything. The one cool thing is it immediately picks up right after Dracula ends. So Dracula ends on the big scene with on the steps and everything with the fighting and everything. This movie literally picks up right where it ends. It's kind of similar to Halloween and Halloween 2, where it's just the next movie flows right after the first movie, and you could actually probably watch them as a cohesive movie back to back and see everything. Third movie I watched last night was the movie of the day as for DVDtalk.com, and that was Chud, Cannibalistic Humanoid Underground Dweller, which obviously that's what we think it is, but when you watch a movie you see that it stands for something else. But I mean, it's such a cheesy, hokey 80s American horror movie. The cool thing is the monsters are so cool looking, except for their face, but the hulking body, and they're so menacing, and then you just see them moving, and it just kills any suspension of disbelief that they're these destructors, that they're these evil creatures. it makes me feel like I could outrun them and outfight them and everything. And I mean, it's a cool concept. The whole radiation and the disposal of nuclear waste helping create these creatures and them living under the ground. And I mean, it has its cult following, but it's really, I mean, that's all it is a cult following. It can't be considered like a good horror film. The best thing about it is it's cameos of people that became famous later on. I mean, Daniel Stern, John Goodman, John Hurd. I forget the other comedian who was always on, David Letterman. He was also in it, and it's cool seeing them all get their start. Like, I mean, John Goodman has like one or two lines, and he just plays a cop real quick in a scene. Daniel Stern and John Hurd went on to play, you know, in Home Alone together, and seen them in this before when they're both obviously just starting out. I mean, Daniel Stern's very shaky in scenes. He's very not the top notch actor. I mean, not that Daniel Stern's an Oscar contender, but he was a decent actor later on in life. You'll see he's a little shaky. It was a slow day though. It was only 3 films, like I said. Tomorrow might be just as slow, just, you know, getting into it. And as we go along, there'll probably be days where I pick up and maybe watch 5, 6 movies, 7 movies in a day. But the past couple of days, it's only been 3. So I'm still on pace to hit 100. I'll probably update that every day and let you know where I'm at. I mean, right now, like with the film that I watched today that I'll review tomorrow, I'm right around 11 or 12 films. So 3 days in, you figure 4 films a day. I'm on pace for about 120, but the pace will cut down because it'll be, like I said, there'll be days I watch 7, but there's gonna be days where, you know, I have a party to go to, I'm only gonna watch 1 film, or my anniversary, I'm only gonna watch 1 film. So there's gonna be those days as well. Anyway, my shirt of the day is another Horror Block exclusive. Another shirt I get a lot of compliments on. It's from 28 Days Later. Cool shirt, very minimalistic, very like subtle. I mean, it took me like, I read the book to figure out the pamphlet that came in Horror Block to figure out what it was at first. I figured it was 20 Days Later because I figured the whole, you know, ape and everything and the Biohazard logo. I figured that's what it was going for, but wasn't exactly 100% sure. But yeah, I mean, it's a cool shirt. Get compliments. I can wear it out. Nobody knows I'm wearing a horror shirt sometimes, and then fans of the movie will know that I am wearing a horror shirt. So that's always a good thing. So again, slow day tomorrow. Maybe more, maybe less. Who knows? But until then, I am Dark God, and I'll catch you on the flip side.